Who are the top 5 players that need a ring to solidify their place in NBA history?
So this was the easiest of the two lists for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go from 5 to 1 on my list. Number 5, I got Jimmy Butler. We've seen him get to the NBA Finals now twice. Unfortunately for him, his teams have won 3 total games in those 2 series. We know the type of player that Jimmy Butler is, especially when he's healthy. But the whole Heat culture talk, the whole Jimmy Buckets talk, you got to get some hardware behind it. And of course, he's not going to be a guy that's going to ever be in like the MVP conversation, especially if he's not playing enough games every year. But we know come playoff time, he's one of the fiercest playoff competitors we've ever seen in the NBA. But I think a championship will kind of be the cherry on top of that competitive Sunday, if you will, for him.
So I agree. My question
Now
is if he gets the ring, where in NBA history does that put him?
Oh, he's bottom. He's still bottom of the totem pole, I think.
Yeah, I mean he's not going to be like in that, top 25 all-time conversation, but you kind of got to start looking at him similar. It's not quite the same level, but you kind of think of him the same way you think of Dirk post 2011. It's like we knew this was a great player. We knew he, brought something to the game that we didn't see out of everybody, but that championship really solidified his status as I am one of the guys that truly stood out over the course of the history of the league. I think, we talked about, top 75 of all time when they did that a couple years ago. If you're looking at like who's going to be in that top 100 in another 20 plus years, Jimmy could solidify himself in that list with a ring, I think.
Definitely agree with that.
Oh,
my bad. Go ahead. Yeah, go.
I was going to say number 4 for me was James Harden. I don't think he's ever going to get a ring, but if he ever wanted to be considered as like James Harden, everybody don't like the style. Everybody knows that, he loved going to the club just as much as he loved hitting the court. We know this about James Harden. It's no secret. But if we just go back and look at the run he had in Houston, he's legitimately putting up Kobe's like numbers from a scoring standpoint. He was carrying a Houston team on his back. Granted, he ran up against the Warriors, and like a lot of teams that ran up against the Warriors, he took L's. It is what it is. But if he was ever going to get his just due as one of the best shooting guards of all time, he would need a ring to do it. I just don't see it happening, especially not in the Clippers uniform. So, is what it is for James. In a similar vein of James Harden, number 3 for me is Luka Doncic. And the only reason I have Luka on this list is because for where Luka's at in his career, we look like what? Like year 6, 7 for him.
7? Might be 7.
Yeah. I think was that 2018 draft? I think.
Yep, it's 18 draft.
So this will be year 7 for him.
30.
So when you think about what we talked about, Luka, we're looking at him as like one of those next great superstars, right? Most of those great superstars, this is about the time where you get that first ring. So for him, he's kind of that next one up of if you don't win one in the next couple of years, we're gonna start looking like, okay, the clock is ticking, buddy. Like we need one of these Larry O'Briens that we needed immediately. So Luka's number 3 on my list for that. Number 2 on my list is Damian Lillard. Dame really is elite as a scoring point guard. He really has had a career that a lot of people are gonna gloss over the history of time because of the fact he was stuck in Portland for most of those years. One Western Conference final trip he took, Portland got the doors blown off every game. So, it definitely would aid him getting that recognition that just due for his career if he was to get a ring. And he's also in a situation with Milwaukee where we're not going to look at it as like a sympathy ring. He's not at the end of the bench at the end of his career just hanging on. He would still be a top 2 guy on the championship team. So I think he's number 2. And number 1 for me is Joel Embiid. Come on. Joel Embiid, I think, is about to turn 30, or he might have already turned 30. Joel Embiid has not been past the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah. Tyrese Halliburton has.
Yep.
Tyrese Halliburton has.
Evan Mobley.
We talked about Luka. Luka's been to the conference finals. James Harden, hell, has played in a couple conference finals at this point. Jimmy Butler has made the NBA finals at this point. Everybody on the list that I have so far that I'm saying needs a ring has been farther in the playoffs than he has. Mind you, Joel Embiid has played on some very talented teams in Philadelphia, especially post-process. Now, you could say Ben Simmons might have single-handedly tanked his chance at a ring. I believe that's like 2019, 2020 or whatever. Oh, I'm sorry, 2021 when the Bucks won. But you got your MVP award now. You probably got the most talented team on paper now that you've ever had in Philly. The ring needs to happen, and it probably needs to happen this year. And you got to be healthy when you get it, because we all know every year the one thing that you can bank on with Joel Embiid that he is either going to be recovering from an injury or fully injured when it matters the most. And every year we can't keep singing that song.
Yeah. Yeah, no, amazing list. And honestly, in terms of players without a ring, I would say those are the 5 most relevant ones as it currently stands. I think there's a new class of players like Tatum saved himself, obviously, which is
absolutely.
But like, there's a class of players that's coming up. Like, would Book be like 6th on that list?
No. So honestly, for me, I think. I guess, see, Book to me is a little different. At least with Book, we saw them go to the finals, and he had a really good series.
Yeah.
Can't say that they lost that finals because of him.
Right.
I would put Paul George on that list before I put Devin Booker.
Fair.
Yep. I would too.
You know, the man called himself playoff P. In the next playoffs, he was shooting shots off the side of the backboard. So you kind of, at this point, and we saw him overcome it a little bit, the conference finals appearance that the Clippers got without Kawhi, where he kind of carried that team. We saw him actually put it together for a full playoffs that year. Even still, the time is now, my friend. you got to put up or shut up. And I guess I'll take. I wouldn't have CB3 on that list anymore. He's gonna be the point guard forever.
Yeah.
With or without a ring. I'm trying to think of guys without one. It's probably guys with rings that I would think need more to solidify themselves.
That was gonna be my next thing.
Giannis.
It's a list of guys with one that.
So Ashley just said it. Look, that Giannis, the 50-point performance in Game 6, incredible.
You need another one.
Every playoff since then, though, the Bucks have either disappointed or flamed out without him. And at some point, we got to know that this is real. We need another one.
The only pass Giannis gets is 2022 because he balled out against the Celtics without Middleton. That series went 7,
and then this last one, he literally wasn't here. Too.
Yeah, they still should have won that series, in my opinion. Had opportunity, obviously, but it's hard when your second, goes out, and your closer at that time, goes out as well. Nonetheless, I am Miguel is the biased Milwaukee fan. Okay,
hold on. Do you want to hear my 5? Do you want to hear my 5, sir?
Giannis need that second ring.
I said that in last year's, and y'all were like, "Does Giannis need another one to solidify?"
No, you said Giannis had more to prove. I don't think so much that
the ring. Yeah,
I don't think the ring is more so for Giannis being in the elite conversation. Giannis has proven who Giannis is, and without a ring, I don't think the conversation around Giannis being a great
is solidified.
Change. I think he's solidified as a great. But if Giannis wants to be the elite, if he wants to be anywhere near a top 15, 10 conversation, he's going to need a second ring, especially because he's probably not getting another MVP the way the league is kind of going. More than likely not going to get another DPOY. His accolade season more than likely is over.
First team at this point. First team, second team, that's it.
Yeah, so it's coming down to a ring.
So my 5, I'm a speed running. Embiid for reasons. Tatum because corny. Giannis because he's only got one and he's at the stature that he's at. Luka because Wonder Boy, and then KD because can he win without Steph?
So KD was one that just missed the cut for me. And to be honest, I think the Olympics this year is the only thing that
I was literally going to say That was the only thing that I was like
because
hating.
the hard part for KD is he got our respect for everything that he did in Oklahoma City. If you really go back and look at his numbers at OKC, like they're some of the best statistical seasons you can have for anybody.
But then what takes away is that he was up 3-1 against Golden State and then goes to Golden State. That's the only reason why I take away.
And so, but Gail, you just led me perfectly into this. So we always give the Warriors crap for losing that 3-1 lead against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals. We never talk about Oklahoma City blowing the 3-1 lead against the Warriors and having the lead in Game 6 at home. Of course, Game 6 play. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, when you have Kevin Durant playing at the level that he played at, there's no excuse for him to end that series the way that he did. Yeah. And since the Warriors, he hasn't come anywhere close to a ring outside of the foot being on the line in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And even then, a lot of people don't remember this, but that was a second round series. That wasn't even a conference finals.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about KD, again, one of the best scorers we've ever seen, again, Olympic performances for days. That one ring without Steph, though, would do wonders for him.
Wonders.
So how much of, I guess, a boost would this one ring give KD, given that he's still teamed up with Book? He's still got Beal. And I know that Beal isn't at the level he was at in Washington, but Book is still a bucket.
Ooh.
But KD is their one now.
Me. Yeah, because no, but so Book and Beal are not Steph and Clay.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
And so
He's driving the bus.
I will say this. If KD gets a ring without Steph, you might have to seriously consider the conversation of him being top 10.
Yeah.
That's how big, to me, that ring without Steph is.
Because KD because of how he plays, too. That's why we give him so much praise.
If he was to get that ring, that'd be 3 rings. He already got 2 finals MVP. He'd probably have a third with the third ring. He got his MVP already. He's 8th all time in scoring, will be higher by the time his career is over. He's probably the purest scorer we've ever seen in the NBA. I ain't saying he's undoubtedly top 10, but I'm saying it would change the conversation around him a lot. And if his narrative is different, I think we see him put into a different class as far as the elite of the elite in the NBA with that third.
So think about it this way, right? Kevin Durant gets ring number 3. He has the same amount of rings as Larry Bird. Woo! If you put their resumes side by side, which one are you taking? Because I probably would take Kevin Durant.
Because before it was Larry when we were talking about best threes of all time, but if KD gets a ring and we're talking player for player, KD's walking.
Now let me say this. Player for player, it is easily KD. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and act like Larry's resume ain't.
Oh, no.
So it wouldn't be an easy decision. I would still probably lean toward KD, all things considered. But Larry's resume, especially for how short his career ended up being, all things considered, is insane.